Hiya, I wanted to talk to you today about a couple of different personality traits, and I say personality traits very, very loosely. Um, I was talking to somebody the other day, and she explained to me that one of her personality traits was that she was a chameleon. And when she said it, it actually got me thinking because ultimately we are all chameleons. We have, as humans, we adapt to our environment in order for survival. We learn to do this from a very, very young age. We call this our belief system, or ultimately, quite literally, adapting to our parents' needs. You know, if a parent is yelling, we adjust very quickly to what that parent may need. We wait for that praise, and then we know that when a parent yells, we must sit quietly or whatever it may be. So we have this ability to be chameleons from a very, very young age. As we get older, the ability to become a chameleon shifts into things like our workplaces, our friendships, our family groups, and we are ultimately able to navigate each one of those situations. So when somebody said this particular woman said to me that she was a chameleon, and it was almost a bit of a badge of honor. So she was referencing the fact that she could be, and this is not knocking somebody by any stretch of the imagination, this is just basically, just picking up on language from somebody. But she stated that it didn't matter whether or not she was in a spiritual environment with spiritual people. She was able to boss that environment, much like she was able to boss her environment when she went into her corporate job. And I thought it was interesting. She was referring to being a chameleon, was being able to boss these situations, and I just thought, no. You've actually mastered the art of adaptability. You've mastered the art of knowing how to behave in a certain way in order to get a desired response from people, which is what we've all done our entire lives. However, I wouldn't necessarily say that calling yourself a chameleon is in fact a positive personality trait. It's indicative of having a really, really, really good trauma adaptability, or having a trauma response and able to adapt very quickly to that situation. So be really mindful of, if you are aware that you are able to be a chameleon, so to speak, in those situations. We all have to do it, but are you able to still show up completely authentically and without a mask? So it is all well and good to move into those different groups, friends, family, spiritual groups, corporate groups, wherever you are shifting throughout your life. But are you able to show up authentically in order to do that? The second part to this is that a lot of people reference, and this one's probably been heard a little bit more than perhaps chameleon, but when people reference that they are an empath, again, being empathic is actually a trauma response. You are empathic to the degree of the pain that you have felt. So if you have empathy towards a particular person or situation, it is because you have felt that, it is a felt sense of that situation that has happened to some degree in your life. It may be exactly the same, it may be just a reference point, but ultimately, in order to feel empathy for a situation, it is because you have experienced a similar level of pain in that particular arena, for that particular issue, if that makes sense. So again, to state that you are an empath as a personality trait, or seen as something that is a positive thing, please be mindful where that comes from. I do hold empathy for other people, and I do have an ability to become a chameleon and shift and move into different arenas. That being said, I understand that the empathy that I feel is due to the pain that I have felt, and I am able to sit with somebody in their pain but I do not need to take on their pain. Additionally, same as being a chameleon, I am able to move into different areas in my life, whether it's work, whether it's spiritual, whether it's dealing with family or friends or whatever my situation is. However, I am also able to show up authentically as myself. And I think that the reason I'm even discussing this is because I know the difference myself. I know when I was showing up in a way that I was meeting other people's needs. I was showing up to be the person that person needed from me. And even if it was only in that moment, I was able to quickly ascertain what that person needed in that moment, and I was able to adjust my behavior. It is a trauma response. You do not need to adjust your behavior. You are not responsible for another person's feelings. Ever. They are entitled to feel whatever it is that they are feeling, and you are able to sit and hold space for them. And with the empathy, same, sit and hold space, chameleon. Make sure that your friends and family are showing up authentically. If you know them to be a certain way and you see them act a different way, perhaps in a different environment, maybe mention it to them. It's an impactful thing to recognize when you are being truly true and when you are showing up on behalf of other people. So I go back to something I've said a long time ago about every time you walk over a doorway, a threshold, check your energy prior to walking through it, and check the energy on the other side of it, because is your energy that you're walking in with met on the other side, or have you walked into a different energy? And try and remain as much yourself as humanly possible. Obviously, if you're walking into a toxic situation, my advice at that point would just be to just turn around. Don't try and match that. If you are walking into an environment that is perhaps quiet, then feel free to walk into that environment quietly. However, show up authentically. If that environment is full of energy and you've got the energy to match it, show up with that level of energy. However, show up authentically. Anyway, that was my thoughts for today. Happy Tuesday. Love to you all. Bye.